film centers on a pretty fascinating time in English history where a lot of social changes were taking place. I wonder, being immersed in that time period, what did you come to understand about it that maybe was unfamiliar to you?
Well, just that we think we've come quite a long way, but maybe we haven't, because we're still dealing with the issues that are prevalent in this film today, and it is relevant. I would say that's a major one.
I mean, researching it, I found it quite interesting because, I mean, I'm being Australian, I didn't have that kind of context in which to understand the slavery and slave trade in England. But I found it very interesting that this is a time in history where slavery was illegal. There were no slaves in front of people, but the slave trade was one of the main economic foundations in the country. It's what everyone's making money off. It's what is building the empire, the British Empire. And so it's a very interesting psychology where this nation is getting richer and richer off the ownership of human beings, but they're not directly faced with that. And I thought that's really fascinating, and I did not really know about that period of history.
And aside from that, the story was inspired by an unsigned 1779 painting of a mixed-race woman in England. Has there been a piece of art or a work that has inspired you or affected you greatly that you can recall?
One single one? I don't know. I mean, there are probably many and many more to come. And you're going to ask me how they've affected me, so I can't tell you. It's a kind of a subliminal thing. I mean, I love the Sleeping Gypsy, the Rousseau painting, for example, which is one that a lot of people will know. But it's just mysterious, and I find it quite moving. And I love the heightened nature of it, and it's sort of how I would like life to be. I suppose that's some of the things I feel about it. It's a dream.
Tough question.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I actually went to fine art school as well, so I should be able to answer that. I dropped out. There's a Picasso painting of the of the boy with the horse, which I always loved, but I wouldn't say it politically moved me, or did it inspire me to investigate history. But I've always loved that painting. Yeah.
With this, a lot relies on the settings and the costumes. How much of your character formed when you were on set and in the costumes and immersed in that environment?
I think it is the sort of the icing on the cake. That sounds too sweet. I don't mean it like that, but it's really, really helpful. Even if you rehearse in a practice skirt or something, it's not the same. You've got to get into everything and be trussed up and know what that is to present that to the world, that armored thing. It says a lot. It sort of speaks to the times and what the conventions of the times were.
I thought the costumes were very useful because I felt like John was didn't really belong in that period of time. So to put him in all that paraphernalia and all the pomp and of the cravat and the stockings and the wig and everything, I felt like I was constantly fighting against it, and it really informed me as an actor to kind of have those barriers up, which kind of represent the social barriers, that are there of the time. So I mean, even being in those sets and those environments, all they can do is inform you.
And when you first read the script, I wonder, because so many compelling themes explored, and scripts like this are very rare. What stood out to you at first when you first read it?
The freshness of the language. I think it's interesting. I think it, again, informs the piece because it's not completely 18th century speak. It's not modern, but there's a sort of a conflict between the two. It's sort of the old and the new rubbing up against each other, which again kind of mirrors what's going on in the time. That's what I thought was nice and interesting.
Well, thank you guys so much. I actually read this as a script intern years ago.
Really?
I thought, they'll never make it.
Wow.